Hello, guys. How are we today? And can you actually hear me? I've been messing around with settings, so I might have broken something. Sweet, sweet, sweet. The reason I'm delayed is I need to figure out how to delete a message on Twitch. Like, I'm all alone in the world streaming, and the only one watching is me, and somebody is still spamming in there. That is beautiful. Let's have a look here. So a a thing that seems to drive excitement around the product is sounds and music, which I think is perfectly reasonable. And so let's try focusing the stream down on that today. So the whole act of making a game that takes advantage of sound and music sounds something that is fun. I don't want to continue on the project we did the last time, simply because I think these streams should by and large be dedicated to building a game from scratch. So I think that's the way we're going to try and doing it. And in terms of a game that might be fun for sound and music that we can do in a reasonable amount of time, I'm thinking a chain reaction game. Unless somebody who is watching the stream has a better idea, so I'm just going to give the community a few minutes to come up with ideas for stuff that is sound and music related. Octo is proposing a match 3 game. I think that's a great idea. I want to do it a little bit later. We have some features coming up that is going to make building a match 3 game much easier. So knowing our roadmap, I'm going to delay that a little bit. BBG on YouTube says remix Coffee Catcher, and that sounds. No, I'm not going to do that for you. Oh, DJM is saying a piano tiles game. Like, I really like that. That's another one for the. We're probably going to do that later because there's some features coming up that is going to make that a much more reasonable thing to do in the future. So put a note on that. We're definitely going to do a music rhythm game a little bit later. I'm thinking we can probably do that by end of year. So that's going to be fun in the future. Yeah, I'm just gonna ignore all of you guys and go ahead and make a chain reaction game. I guess I decided already. I just wanted to see if you guys could persuade me to do something else. So let's go in here. Let's create a chain 2D chain reaction game. Ooh. The AI thinks it's a puzzle game. That's interesting. Let's go with that. And the AI managed to make a description that is too long for the input. Like, this entire interface is being remade. But that's not fantastic. BBG on YouTube asks, "What is a chain reaction game?" You will see in a moment. Let's go and make this thing. So boop, boop, boop. Let's just delete addictive. And let's make this game. Okay, so absolutely nothing happens here. So this is a particularly bad title. So let's start out by giving the AI a little bit more context. So gotta approve microphone. So in this game, we want elements to flow around the screen. And when we press the screen, we want an explosion to happen that shoots particles in multiple directions. If a particle intersects one of the elements on the screen, that element should explode, causing chain reactions. That did nothing. That is fun. Also, we need to decide if we are being dogmatic around not coding today. I think we're dogmatic today, so no cheating. So whatever the AI just did does nothing. It's not what we wanted. It doesn't do the things that we want. So we are just going to go up here and press revert. And revert is a very powerful tool to basically just trying again. So similar to if you use an AI tool to generate images, it's very often very beneficial to basically just try again. Octo is asking, does the description input matter when AI create the code, or is it all written by one generator in the first place? No, so the description does matter. It is context that is passed to the AI, and one of the reasons we want to redo that flow is we want to be able for the creator to provide a lot more context before the game is generated, to make it much more likely that you get the game that you want. So let's look at assets here. So from this initial data here, the AI actually went ahead and both have an explosive and a particle thing. But I honestly, I don't think that anything we actually got here is what we wanted, and it's probably because we did bad input. So let's just try from scratch. Let's go again. Let's make a new game. Chain reaction game, and then I'm going to write a custom description this time, just trying to prompt the AI, and we can sort of see how the AI generates better experiences if given good context. And right now you can only give 127 characters of context. We really need to change that. But chain reaction game where pressing the screen creates an explosion that when impacting enemies explode them. Yeah, that should be enough context. DGM has a question. Do you have an idea for the theme of the chain reaction? No. Yeah. Fruits, shapes, something else. I don't know. We'll figure it out. BDG on YouTube asks how much time I have to stream today. Not too long, like an hour or so. So we have to be efficient. So now we have explosions, which is super nice. So this is basically, like, this is the core of the game that I wanted. Like, that was a question, what is a chain reaction game? So these elements are always at the same location, but fundamentally, generally, what you want in this classic game is you want an action you can do, say press the screen, that causes an explosion to happen on the screen, and if any elements impact that explosion, then they also explode, and you can sort of have chain reactions. Typically, then you have levels where it becomes harder and harder throughout the levels, and the goal is to complete as many levels as possible. So the explosion right now is basically just like a single element here, which is perfectly fine. However, it's probably more fun if it's particles. So let's see if we can persuade the AI to do this. Rather than creating a large exploding, have 6 particles spawn out from the explosion point and fly off the screen. Let's see if we can make this happen. Oh, there's particles. Not exactly what we wanted. Okay. Uh, well, we got particles, but not the kind of particles that we want. Question is now: is it easier to start over, or can we continue from this? I think we're going to start over. When an explosion is triggered, shoot out 6 explosion fragments. If an element impacts one of these fragments, it should explode as well. Okay, so that worked. So let's just see here. So there's a big explosion element, and then there is the 6 fragments. Make sure the 6 fragments spawn out of the explosion area such that they. That was a bad query. So what we want is I want these fragments to always spawn in a predictable direction. So right now it's clearly random. And what I think I would like instead is I would like them to sort of spawn out in a perfect direction, sort of in a perfect circle. The explosion fragment should spawn out as a perfect circle rather than in a random direction. Yeah, so that's let's see here. When an explosion fragment intersects a target, the fragment should be destroyed. Yep. I really want a fragment asset here. So right now we only have an explosion. You can see the explosion and the fragment uses the same asset. Not what we want. Use a different asset for fragments. So now we have a fragment asset here. And let's add a picture to, no, not what we're doing right away. So let's say what we probably want to do is we want to have levels that you go through, and we want the levels to become harder and harder as time progresses. So first of all, what I think, like if we play here, you can see it just adds like three targets on the screen here that are sort of in a random position. We will probably want those targets to be spawn at a random position and move around the screen. So the targets that you have to hit should spawn at a random position on the screen, and they should have a movement vector. If they move off the screen, they should just wrap around on the other side of the screen. Let's see if they actually wrap around. Yep. So it sort of wraps around the screen. So if the asset goes off, it just comes in somewhere else. So let's add levels to the game. Add levels to the game such that when you have destroyed all targets, a new level starts that has one more target to hit, but the target is 10% smaller. Let's see. Oh, it's getting laggy. Why is it getting laggy? This shouldn't lag. There's not enough going on the screen right now. Probably some bad garbage collection here. I think I managed to crash the browser. Let's just force reload this. There we go. Make sure elements make sure fragments who fly off the screen are removed and garbage collected. Yeah, so Octo is saying the wrap around the screen trick is really interesting. Never knew the concept had a name. Yeah, so this is a great example where however much I can pretend to use the tool as a user, the fact that I know the terminology that game developers use when they work in games also means that I have a very high chance of being good at instructing the AI to do a particular thing. And it's not necessarily representative of sort of what a normal user would do. Of course, you could describe the same behavior with non-developer language, but it's not necessarily sort of representative for how a normal user would use the product. And Octo is, I did just the same thing again. What does it mean that an element is garbage collected? And what that means is that it's removed from the code in a fashion, or from the engine in a fashion where it no longer exists in the engine, right? So this is terminology from sort of programming languages where you manage the memory of the computer yourself, and garbage collected there basically means that it's completely removed and no longer exists, right? So again, computer programming terminology sneaking into my prompts, even though it probably shouldn't. Fundamentally, as you can see now, the game still lags, but only when there's like a huge amount of stuff on the screen. It's pretty clear that the reason that the game was getting laggy was because these elements here, these fragments we create, they were flying off the screen, but they were still existing in the game. So the computer still spent a lot of time sort of doing calculations to see if the fragments were intersecting something else on the screen, right? And definitely not not what we wanted, right? So now where we ask the computer to remove them or garbage collect them, they are no longer causing a resource drain, which means that the game no longer lags when you sort of get to subsequent levels. So let's make the levels more exciting. Please remove all fragments when you start the next level. Yeah, the game is still lagging a little bit, BBG on YouTube. We will fix that, but for now we're just looking at implementing the logic that we need for the game to run, right? And let's see. Yep. So now when you sort of complete a level, the fragments disappear. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I think there's a bug here. So if we just... That's another bug. So what happened here is something in the code triggered a runtime error in the code, and the AI is just trying to fix it itself, right? So the system detected an error, and the system is trying to fix the error, and we're just going to ignore that happened. So let's see here. Yeah. And the fragments are removed, but the explosions persist. So I actually don't particularly like... So this explosion, let's just recolor the fragments here to make it easy to determine sort of the different things. So you can see you sort of have the blue explosion, and then you have the yellow particles. I actually don't particularly think we need the explosion asset. The explosion asset itself is unnecessary. Just have the fragments and remove the explosion otherwise. I have no idea. I have no idea why the system decided that without the explosion that you need to have many more particles, right? Like it's like really interesting. So we had 6 before. Now we have I don't know how many. There's too many explosion fragments being generated. Please only generate 6. Okay, we zoom in a little bit more. I want the enemies to start out larger and easier to hit. I want the fragments to also be larger, maybe 75 when we start out. More automatically fixed JavaScript errors. Yep. Okay. When you complete a level, flash the screen white. Let's generate a asset for sort of the targets. There we go. Okay, so the level has been completed. It flashes white, which you kind of like. When a level starts, write what level you're at the center of the screen, and then fade it out after a few seconds. I really like, so I don't know why our model has started to sort of really significantly generate like monochromatic colors. I don't particularly like this. So bright colors, cartoon. So GJam is saying round fragments would be more intuitive. Yeah, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that, but I just decided that I wanted fragments to spawn out in 6 directions. So you can sort of imagine that the fragment spawns out from each face of the target, right? So that's what I'm going for here. So Octo is saying there seems to be an issue with the target size. I don't think they start at this right size, and if they do, the next level shrinks them more than 10%. Probably. We'll fix that later. Yeah, I think you might be right. Okay, so the target didn't change size at all, which is quite interesting. So very clearly, the AI has basically just decided to give the targets a specific size. So that is unlikely to work well. And let's just see. Yeah, a lot of stuff broke here. I think that is related to the center of the screen text here. Let's just see if we revert and the game works again. Yeah, it does. I'm not necessarily against fixed sizes for the targets here. I just think it should start out twice as big or something like that. Make the initial target size twice as big. There we go. Choo. When targets shrink, also shrink the fragments. So as you progress through levels, the fragments should also get smaller and smaller. Remember, we're pretending not to know how to code, but that doesn't mean we can't look at the code while it's doing its thing. Let's see here. Does things get smaller? It does. That's perfect. Yep. So the game gets harder and harder as level progresses. Do. Boom. Okay, so let's add let's have sort of a element for the fragment here that we use as the actual visual indicator of a. So let's say fire arrow, wide fire arrow, and let's do a sprite sheet for people who don't haven't watched the previous stream. Once in a while, if you want a asset, it can be worth asking for a sprite sheet, because then you get sort of a bunch of options back, and then you can just crop in and choose the part of the image that you actually want to use in your game. Yeah, so this is a great example, right? So here's a bunch of different assets, and I'm pretty sure I like this one here. This is pretty good. So we crop that in. We apply that to the fragment. rotate each fragment asset such that they are rotated according to the direction they're flying in. So we got exactly what we wanted here. So you can see the assets are rotated, and apparently also scaled. Let's just have a chat about that. Like it looks like they're scaled. Oh, it's because the width and the height is set when we decide, and it's not a perfect square. So how do we fix that? When scaling targets and fragments, don't set width and height directly. Use scale that's set instead. Again, cheating here. I know how the game engine works. I know how to talk developer. So we are basically changing. I also just realized this is not a hexagon. This is an octagon. So it makes no sense that it's shooting out 6 targets. So let's update that to 8 in a moment. AI seems to be stuck. Let's try again. What's happening there? It's just doing nothing. Let's try a different AI model. Okay, I want to look at the code so badly and cheat. We're just going to look at the code. Enemy size. Create enemy. When scaling enemy or fragment, just use a fixed number. Don't factor in the enemies existing width or height, or the fragments existing width or height. Boop. That did not do what we wanted to. You seem to be factoring in enemies existing width and height and fragments width and height when calculating their new size. Don't factor in those. Yeah, so now have the right size. Is your still scale down? Yeah, that works. Okay, so rather than spawning 6 fragments, spawn 8 fragments. BGG on YouTube says it would be cool if the AI could translate our text into developer talk. I actually think it can. So that should be something that is definitely possible. So we can go and have a play with that. So a thing you can do with the system is you can ask it questions. So in Octo's example earlier, right, where he doesn't understand or didn't not understand. Of course, he understands. He didn't know that that sort of this wrapping around the scheme was called wraparound, right? You know, so I want to have elements that exit on one side of the screen appear on the other side of the screen. What is this called when you're building a game? So the system, by giving the context of the feature that you want and asking about like how it's talked about in developers, you get like screen wrapping, which is very close to what I've done. There's also apparently toroidal wrapping. I was unsure that I had no idea that was a thing, right? So today I learned something as well. So let's just, I failed to remember what we were doing. Oh, we wanted 8 fragments rather than 6 fragments. Create 8 fragments rather than 6 fragments when something explodes or you press the screen. Yeah, so BGG and YT says, interesting. I never thought about using the feature like that. Yeah, it's something we need to expose a lot better. So as a conversational engine, the system is quite powerful, but it's something where we want it to be proactive rather than reactive. So rather than you having to prompt the system to come with feedback, we want it to automatically always have good feedback for you on your game. It can do like a whole bunch of things. So you can say like, I want this game to be more engaging. What are 5 features I could implement into this game to make that happen? So you can sort of see how the system is able to propose in the context of the game that you already created things that might make the game more engaging. And like I realize these are particularly standardized, right? They are not necessarily related specifically to this game, but we could go as far as saying, I want to make this game more engaging. Consider what the game is and how it works and propose 3 features that might make the game more engaging. And while it writes that out, I'm just going to fix the rotation of these here. Oh, so this is great, right? Okay, so any rotation here is the wrong rotation for the asset, right? So whatever rotation the system is applying when something spawns prevents it from having the right direction. So I think it's all by a 45-degree angle. When spawning fragments, add 45 degrees to the rotation they're spawning at. And we can go and have a look at sort of this feedback we were writing just before. So in the context of this game, you can see like you did get one piece of feedback here, which is specific to this particular game, which is there's a concept of enemies, and you can have different enemies with different behavior, so enemy variation. So the system is able to give feedback in the context of a given game, which is a feature we really want to embrace. So I still don't think these are flying out in the right direction. Boop. So we were to here. Let's kill this as well. There's no reason to have that in the history. When a fragment spawn, I want them to sort of point in the direction of movement. Currently, the rotation seems wrong. Can you try to fix this? Yeah, Octo's saying having a fixed amount of explosions per round would definitely make it feel more like a game. He's absolutely right. So that's exactly my intent here, is to make it such that you have a limited amount of explosions in total. Probably something where each time you complete a level or something like that, you get one back or something like that. Maybe not even explosions per round, maybe total explosions. The rotation of explosion fragments seems random. The rotation should be the direction it's moving in. Explosion fragment. Yeah, so this is quite funky. So here's why this is so wrong. Like a direction is set here, but then afterwards it's overwritten here when you actually create the explosion. So this stuff up here actually doesn't do anything. In the create explosion method, after setting direction, also set rotation. So that's great. It did it here, which is not where we wanted. We wanted to do it down here, right? Don't set direction and rotation when in the explosion fragment class. Delete those two lines. In the create explosion method, after setting fragment.direction, please also set the rotation of the fragment. I am so cheating right now, but we have limited time, so I wanna get this into a playable state. There we go, and now we should be able to rotate them to point outwards. Yay, there we go. Poo, 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 poo. Okay, cool. I should only have 3 attempts at creating an explosion by clicking the screen per level. Please implement this feature. So now I was only able to press the screen 3 times. So when deleting a fragment that has left the screen, if there is no fragments left on the screen and I have no more attempts at creating an explosion, call game over. So BGG on YouTube asked what kind of background would I add to this screen to this game. Like I think a way to create an engaging background from the screen would simply just be to add a large image in the background that would then scale down with everything else, and that would probably be something that looked well. Oh, so now we can be game over, right? So you have 1, 2, 3 attempts at creating a chain reaction. And if you fail, if all particles exit off the screen, then we are game over, right? Show 3 fragments in the top right corner indicating how many attempts I have back. I think left would have been better English there. This is a Danishism. The fragments indicating how many lives I have back does not seem to show on the screen. Please make sure they are aligned appropriately. Yeah, so this is great. So the top right GUI element here exists exactly at this point here. And what it's doing is that's actually interesting. Why doesn't that work? That should totally work. Am I being... Oh no, it should start from 0. Let's just try if we just add that in there. Yeah, there you go. So that worked. So the reason it doesn't work is it sort of expect this top right GUI element to have the same anchor point as everything else, which is objectively wrong, right? So let's pretend I didn't just fix that by coding, but let's ask the AI to fix this. The top right GUI element is anchored at the top right corner. Right now, you seem to offset the X based on the top right element being anchored in the top left corner. Please fix this. Like BGD on YouTube says, I would not call changing a number coding, even if I change a number and I cannot code. Yeah, like and we're probably going to build some better user interface infrastructure specifically to allow you to change variables. I think it's a common case that you would want to change some property without necessarily having to dive into the code, right? And in the grand scheme of things, I want you to be able to pause the game, click an item, and just move it around, right? But that's sort of in the future. Anyway, we very much have something that looks a lot like a game now, right? So we have let's actually I just realized these are rotated the wrong way. For the live GUI elements that exist in the top right corner, please rotate these 45 degrees anti-clockwise. There's a question if we see more standardized user elements or GUI elements coming in the future. Absolutely. So that's 100% a thing we're working on, sort of introducing standardized features for doing all kinds of things. Let's say, like a simple example is something people keep asking about is high scores. That makes a lot of sense. And on that note, please add score to this game where the score increases by 1 when you destroy one target. Show the score in the top center of the screen. Octo saying maybe also make the targets bounce off each other instead of overlapping. I kind of like that. That is really interesting. Yeah, that's yeah. I don't think I've ever seen this in one of these like chain reaction games, Octo. So I think you're out creating unique experiences now, which is amazing. If two, let's just phrase this correctly. If two targets intersect, have them bounce off each other using billiard type physics. No, we just have to have two targets intersect. Oh, so close. Yay! That worked. That is awesome. Oh, that's going to make the game so much harder. That's fun. I just want to see that it doesn't crash. So Octo is asking, I'm curious, would changing the target shape from square to circle have an effect on this physics? I doubt it. So we specifically asked the AI to use billiard type physics, which if I am to guess, would mean that it's using circle to circle intersections. We can go have a look here. Just let's have a look at the coded bit for intersection. So here's the collision. actually have no idea where would it do the intersection. Yeah, so here's the intersection code, right? So you can see what it does. It calculates an angle, so the angle of intersection, which is a circle by definition, and then it calculates the new direction based on that, right? So this is currently like circle to circle intersections. It does use quite interestingly intersect rather than a distance calculation to see if it intersects, but it seems to be working, so we are not going to fix that. That is ever so slightly wrong in that intersect right now uses sort of sprite to sprite intersections, which means that two corners are able to intersect even though there's nothing there. But in terms of creating a playable experience, it's very unlikely that the user is ever going to notice that happened. So we're just going to ignore that, right? Let's add a background to the game, and then let's call the core gameplay complete, and then we can play with music and sound. And as always, I'm going to be running out of time exactly at the time where stuff getting exciting. But let's add a background to the game. Please add a background to this game. Just a big image that sits at the center of the screen. BGG and YouTube wants very loud explosions. I think I want musical notes to play when you intersect. So there's a difference of opinion there. Now we have a big background image. Puzzle game background image. Octo says, I love how the game came out. I'll be surprised if it didn't get into top 8. So to be frank here, Octo, this is a clone of a game I've already made on the platform that didn't make top 8. So probably not, but let's see. Well, we did add, in all fairness, we did add sort of intersections of targets, which is a new mechanic. So it might. Let's see. Nah, nothing here. Lots of just give me 1 second. I'll be back in 1 second. Hey, I'm back. Let's continue this thing. So let's add a background image here. Let's preserve the ratio of the image. Let's make it ginormous. There, it's ginormous. Make the background element have opacity of 30%. When progressing to a new level, also scale down the background with the same percentage as your scale elements. Animate this transition. Really interesting to see how it implements animation here. Yeah, so it's just going to scale it down. That's definitely not what we wanted. I guess that's fine because it flashes. I thought we were going to have to fix that, but I'm actually happy with that. So it just scales down. Ooh, that was lucky. No, I think I'm going to die now. I wonder at what scale the background stops working. We probably want to set a minimum scale on the background. Let's just have a look at that. Somebody's asking where you can play this game. Let me just save this and preview it. Just share a link here. There you go. You can play the game now. If you want to give it a go. No. 1 second. I need to figure out how to share this on YouTube as well. Shared on all the channels now. You can play the game if you want to give it a go already. Yeah, so Octa is saying something broke. Level 1 starts with 3 targets, but level 2 only has 2 targets. Something seems to be broken with the levels. Level 1 starts with 3 targets, but level 2 only has 2 targets. Please make level 1 has 3 targets at a random position, level 2 having 4 targets, and so on. Yeah, so the background gets too small now, right? You know, at some point the background gets so small that that it sort of gets like it's just a big image, and at some point it's not big enough to cover the screen anymore. So we probably want to put a limit to how small the background can be. So we can probably guesstimate. So we made it. If we make it 8,000 large as a default, and we call it 4,000. So that is fine. 2,000. So that gets too small now. So how large does it have to be for always taking up 100% of the screen? Let's call it 4,000. Let's start out by 12,000. So it's like really zoomed in initially, and then prevent the background from getting smaller than 33%. So if you reload and try again now, BGG and YouTube, that bug should be fixed. Yeah, and targets are very, very small. Like as you progress through the levels, then the targets gets very small. I think that's just because you're too good at the game. Like it's a challenge. That's all it is. Uh, I think to make this game fun, there's probably a whole bunch of tweaking that would have to happen. But anyway, we're gonna add some sounds instead because that's what we were actually initially setting out to do today. Add a sound when an explosion occurs. So now we have a sound that plays when an explosion occurs. Let's make a sound. Kind of like that. Yeah, so I think I would love to have in the API right now, which we don't, is I would love to have pitch shifting. So right now when something explodes, it has like the sound, but I would love the game to be able to go like bim 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 bim. So that's 100% a feature I'm going to go and ask a bunch of developers to implement as something that we support in the code. We'll just have a look at the code here. Yeah, you could have a property object you pass along here where you basically say pitch 1 to 100 or something like that, and then something like this experience would be so much more gratifying. Let's add some background music. Add background music to the game. There is no music in the game. Casual game background music. Yeah, CSpark has specific input for a library that might allow us to do that. I think we have support in our sound library already for pitch shifting. It's just a matter of figuring out what sort of the implementation detail looks like that allows an AI to implement it. That's just noise. Let's try that again. Um, Octo says try adding lo-fi to the prompt. We're going to try that in a second when it's done generating this. I honestly, I haven't played too much with our music generation. You guys probably have better ideas for a prompt that is likely to output good output. So super happy to get input on that. Let's try that. Oh, it doesn't save. Let's try this again just with lo-fi. Without autocorrect, please. How did I call these? I think just trying to remember. Okay, so I just parenterized them in stream. I think I like lo-fi. That's too loud. Let's try the other one here. I think I like the lo-fi one better. Then I think this sound effect is a little bit too loud. What else did we have in here actually? Oh. I think that's better. Let's try this. The game is too easy, and there's a suggestion in chat to add more targets when you get into the levels. I think we can just do that out of the gate. So rather than adding one more target for each level, add 2 targets for each level. It's almost like it got easier from that because there's more there's more opportunity for chain reactions. That's yeah, okay. So let's play for a little bit longer. It might be that it's just very easy initially, which is fine. That's a good experience for new users. And then let's see. It's getting laggy. Yeah, Octo is proposing that we add like walls that are in the way. So the reason it's getting laggy is there's a lot of intersections that has to happen now. So for each particle, you want to test with all elements if the intersection. There's ways of fixing that, but we're not going to do that today. We're just going to find a different way of making sure you don't get this far into the levels. So as a simple one, only allow the fragments to fly for so long. Add a modifier to them that slows them down over time, and when they stop moving, remove them from the game. So we're just going to limit how far these particles can fly, rather than trying to solve this balancing in a different way. It should make the game a lot more fun. So they definitely stick around for too long, right? But the general idea is what it should work like. Yeah, Octo's proposing we just have a total distance they can travel. I kind of like the slowdown thing because it's sort of an effect as well, which is kind of nice. So this feels good. Like I'm just going to publish this so you guys can play it as well. I think sort of as a general theme, this feels good. We'll probably have to add a little bit of sort of additional effects to this to make it be a super good experience. But it's sort of it feels pretty good in terms of the experience. We want to be more. What's this index here that's calculating? We're currently removing elements from the screen when they reach a certain speed. Increase the removal threshold by 10x. Cool. Okay, so just removing the arrows doesn't feel particularly good. So I think we want something where when removing an exploding fragment spawn a bunch of particles that sort of flies out from the spot where the explosion fragment was removed. So now we're just getting into trying to make a game that feels good, which is a big part of making a game, right? Pew pew. Oh, sweet. Use a different asset for particles than you do use for fragments. I think I just want a circle, just so we can see what we're doing here. Yeah. Particles that spawn when a fragment is removed should irradiate in a circle from the explosion point. Make sure direction is set on particle when they spawn. I like that. That is great. Let's make these small. Let's make them wide. This feels good. This is actually turning out to be a nice little game. So BGG on YouTube asks if this will affect games performance minimally. So having a whole bunch of things on the screen is not gonna be a problem. It's only if you want to do like intersections with them, right? So performance is slowed down when you have a lot of fragments trying to intersect with targets, because that's sort of something that is slow. But you can have a lot of elements at the screen at the same time without it having a impact on performance. So let's just publish or save this so you guys can try this latest version here. I think it feels pretty good. We probably want to play a sound when the particles disappear. Add a sound when particles disappear. Add a sound when fragments explode or are removed from the screen. Oh, so I have to run in a second. Like I'm basically running out of time here. So let me just have a look. Let's see here. So here's a new sound. This is a fragment explosion. So I'm just gonna add in a sound just so we can hear it as it is working. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Yay! Okay, I think we're done. This is thank you for joining as always. We made a game now, like a relaxing chain reaction game. I'm sure a lot of polishing and tweaking could be done to this game to make it more fun and exciting. But as people are commenting, I said I had an hour and it's 20 minutes past now, so I definitely need to get out of here. But thank you for joining in. Hopefully you enjoy playing the game. We have published the game now, so if you want to go play it, here's the link again on all the different chats. And there's also a YouTube here somewhere. There we go. Thank you for joining in. Super fun as always. I hope to be back and do this again with you guys on Friday. Have a good one, everyone.